Getting tight at the top of the Premier League. Liverpool 3 points clear of Spurs as we head towards the weekend. A massive weekend with some huge fixtures for teams both at the top and bottom of the table. Craig and Stewart still with us. Shaka with us as well. You hear from him in just a second. Let's start with Manchester City, their visit to Southampton. Manchester City right now is in 9th place. If they drop points here, and we assume Liverpool will win, they could be 10, 11 points back of Liverpool by the end of the weekend. Can we call this a must-win or at least like a must-not-lose?
No, it's a must get their finger out. Time to start putting a string of results together.
Any confidence they'll do that based on what we've seen?
I think their game lacks tempo. And I don't know if that's tiredness or the crowd. But I watched them play sometimes at walking pace, trying to walk the ball into the net with the perfect goal, with the five-a-side goal, with, 16 passes around the box. And I think they just need to add tempo to the game and try and just kill teams off early, which they're capable of doing, but we're not seeing it. I mean, the draw with West Brom was the same, was a good analysis of what they're doing. And they're lacking a front man. He can say they don't need a striker all they want, but they do, because Aguero's getting older, he's having more injury problems, and I'm not convinced about Gabriel Jesus, so they need a front man as well. But they need to get going, and I think their game is all about tempo, and we're not seeing that.
Yeah, Aguero played on Tuesday, but again, a doubt.
He's got a knock, but
he's
expected to be available.
Yeah, but still not for sure that he'll be.
And look, Southampton are a very good side. We saw it at Arsenal, although Arsenal were hapless. They're up there for a reason. They've got good results. They play a 4-4-2 at times. You've got Romeo and Ward-Prowse in the middle of the park. They'll want the ball, and they can pass the ball. And you've got Armstrong coming off the left. Adams will fight, and he's strong. And, of course, Danny Ings is a good finisher. On top of that, Theo Walcott's getting some confidence back. So this could be a good game. It could be a really good game.
Okay. Robbo, if you're City, Southampton probably not the trip you want right now. Who do you see winning this?
I think it's going to be a tie. I'm going to go for a draw. I think, as Craig just said there, Southampton, the players he mentioned, they're playing really well at the moment. They can play two different ways. They can play deep and play on the counter-attack because they've got a bit of pace with Walcott, and Adams, I think, has worked really hard as the second centre-forward. And they can play attacking football. They can dominate midfield. They can get crosses into the box. The front two are working well together. But I'm going to go for a draw. I think Manchester City will play better. Craig's, again, absolutely right. They need more tempo in the game, and Rodri, I think, is the problem with them in that central midfield. But they also need to finish chances. If they'd have taken their two headers against Spurs, they'd have drawn that game, and if they'd scored those two headers late on, which they should have scored against West Brom, they get 3 more points or 2 more points. So take chances and play at a higher tempo, but I think the game will be a draw.
Shaka, elsewhere, Saturday, Liverpool visit Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace at home took a point off Spurs last weekend. A threat that they could do that to Liverpool this weekend.
In the league of late, in the last 5 on the road, they've not won any. They've managed to drop points at Brighton, drop points at Fulham, but somehow they managed to win. Intersperse that with convincing wins at home, which you saw against Spurs this week. For me, Palace themselves inconsistent. You mentioned the draw with Spurs, but before that you lose at home to Newcastle, you beat Leeds. I think these are two teams who are inconsistent in this instance, and for me, I'm sitting on the fence with this one. I think it's going to be a draw again. Liverpool going to South London,
and once again, the Liverpool manager has been whining again about the talks, about the substitutions and the lack of it, and he wants 5, and other managers are saying 3. For God's sake, just give him 5 subs at Palace at the weekend, and everybody else can have 3. If that makes him shut up and stop moaning about it.
We won't use them. We know we won't use them.
Well, they didn't use any against... apparently it's all about player welfare, but he didn't use any against Spurs because obviously player welfare was less important than getting a result. But come on. Carlo Ancelotti was out today and said, look, it's 3 subs. We just have to rotate a bit better. We have to be a bit more careful with the players. We have to rest some. And I know Liverpool have got injuries. I understand that, but they're not the only ones, right? They're not the only ones. They're the favourites to win the title. They're the league leaders. They've got good players. It's 3 subs, not 5. Now stop chuntering on about it.
Plus, he's got the early kickoff time, so Jurgen Klopp will be...
Oh, my God. It'll be the broadcaster's fault again.
In a good move. All right, let's move to Sunday. Top 4 clash then, Robbo, between Spurs and Leicester City. We know Spurs like to keep things closed. We know Leicester City like to open things up. What kind of game do you think we get?
Well, I'm not sure that Leicester do try and open things up. They like to play on the counter-attack. They've got Jamie Vardy, who loves to break into open spaces. So I'm not sure who's going to take control of the game. And I want to see Spurs take control of a game or two. If they want to win the title, if Mourinho wants to win the title, he can't play defensive football and play on the counter-attack week in, week out. There's going to be games at home against inferior opposition, although Leicester are a good side, where they've got to dominate the game. They've got to show that they can take the game to the opposition. They can get crosses into the box. They can work it in and around the top third of the field, play their little 1-2s, but just do it much closer to the opposition's goal. I want to see Spurs play that way. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. I can see both sides trying to sit that little bit deep and play on the counter-attack. It all depends whether Vardy or Song, who gets the better of the two defences.
I feel really, in this, whenever we do Tottenham now, no matter who they're playing, I do feel we should get Stevie on remotely. From wherever he is. I don't care if he's in a McDonald's, right? I don't care where he is. We should get him on because we know he loves Mourinho. Right? But you know, as Robbo said, you know, he's going to be thinking about one thing and one thing only, Mourinho, and that's Jamie Vardy. Right? So he's not going to squeeze the game because he panics about that kind of player. So they're not going to change. And Robbo's right. Leicester, not recently, but Leicester over the last 18 months have kind of changed the style of the way they play. They were a possession-based team that liked to play nice football, get on the front foot, and now they've taken a back step a little bit and they're more reliant on the counter-attack. And I don't know if that's because they've got injuries and had injuries in key positions, particularly at the back, and Brendan Rodgers is a little bit more wary. So it's going to be a game of cat and mouse. But Leicester are a strange team this season. They go from a couple of good results to a couple of bad results. A couple of good ones, they're really seesawing. And it'll be interesting to see if they can pick up, but I'm more intrigued by Spurs because, as you know, I think they've got the setup to potentially go close this season.
All right. Shaka, on Monday, Chelsea host West Ham, your beloved West Ham. Is this West Ham team good enough to take advantage of a Chelsea side that's lost 2 in a row?
The one thing over the years you can count on West Ham, especially when they come up against Chelsea, and a Chelsea team that needs a result, is that Chelsea are going to get it. And I think this is absolutely no different. Chelsea need a result, give them their own recent results and wanting to keep touch with the top of the table. And more times than not, and listen, it hurts me to say this, West Ham have done them a favour. When West Ham need a result, they've sometimes got it. But that's not the case this time around. I think Chelsea get all 3 points. Just give them that.
Interesting, Craig. I wonder what you think of this. I know sometimes we throw stats out the window, but against teams above 12th in the table so far this season, Chelsea 0 wins. We talk about them like title contenders a lot. I mean, that stat says they're not.
No, well, they should be with the squad they've got because we saw them go to, was it Sevilla? I think it was, with basically a changed about 10 players. It might even have been 11, I don't know, I can't remember. And went there and hammered Sevilla. And you looked at them and thought, wow, that could be the starting 11 at the weekend. But we knew it wouldn't be, but it could have been. I mean, that's how deep this squad is. So the team selection at the weekend is going to be intriguing because clearly Lampard has been very unhappy with the 2 performances. The game at home, the game at Everton, and then the game against Wolves, where they had lots of possession, particularly in the Everton game, but they lacked a cutting edge. So I'm not as convinced about this result as Shaka because I think David Moyes, for most part this year, his team have played a back 3 with Creswell on the left-hand side, Musaka out there, with Declan Rice and Soucek in the middle, and they've looked really compact with Bowen going down the right-hand side. And yeah, they've missed Mikel Antonio up front. I mean, Halle got himself a great goal the other week, but he's not the answer. But they've got a good shape, West Ham, and I think there's a bit of belief in David Moyes again, and I actually think this is a big test for Chelsea. I mean, if they were to go 3 games with 3 defeats or not picking up points, that's even more of a head-scratcher for Frank Lampard in terms of what's the correct balance of his team. Timo Werner's been out of form. Kai Havertz is yet to light it up. Who does he go with up front? Is it Abraham or is it Giroud? How does he mix it up? And these are all questions that I think Frank Lampard's trying to figure out again. After seemingly finding a good balance to his team, he's now scratching his head again.
Robbo, I'd be making a mistake if I didn't come to you on Arsenal. They play Saturday away to Everton. Any confidence that Arsenal can dig out of the funk that they've been in this match?
Not from what we saw in the first half against Southampton when they sat deep, they allowed Southampton to dictate the play. They look disorganised at the moment, they look frightened sometimes on the ball. They're not quite sure when to play out from the back and when not to play out from the back. You look at many of their experienced players aren't really performing. The younger players, like Shaka is the player that's really making things happen when he's playing on that left-hand side. They need something to happen and happen quickly, but I can't see it happening against Everton. Everton have won their last couple of games. They look a threat when balls are played into the box, and Arsenal aren't good defensively from set plays and crosses into the box. So I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think Everton will just about have enough against an Arsenal side that are lacking confidence and a manager that's not quite sure when you're young, when you're inexperienced, how to turn it round. He's looking for answers. He can't find them at the moment.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.